So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes so that you get to cover your entire day's current affairs in 30 minutes and you don't have to spend your entire day just reading the newspaper. Now, just watching this lecture within 30 minutes would be job half done because just after watching it, you need to revise it as well. Because revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section just below this video. Okay, so that would be all as far as the introduction part is concerned. So let's begin today's lecture. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. So here's the list. And number one in this list is basically My Bharat Portal. Then we'll be covering Geotubing to prevent coastal erosion. This is an experiment that was recently launched in Kerala and it has yielded a lot of results. Talk about this. Then we'll talk about State of the World's Nursing Report. A recent report released by WHO which talks about shortage of nursing staff all over the world. We'll talk about what is the situation in India. And in the end, we'll talk about disinformation in war. We all know about this thing, okay? India, Pakistan were in a war-like situation. If it was not a full-fledged war, then it was a war-like situation. Definitely, it was a war-like situation as far as internet is concerned because a lot of disinformation was being spewed from Pakistan. So what is the role of disinformation? We'll talk about this. Okay, so these are the four topics that we shall zero in our attention on. Let's start discussing them one by one, starting with topic number one, and that is My Bharat Portal. So Union Minister of State for Youth Affairs and Sports today said that her ministry sees a greater role for youth in making Vikasit Bharat by 2047. Okay, so basically Union Minister for State for Youth Affairs and Sports said that, well, youth has a big role to play if India wants to become a developed country by 2047. And she basically appealed to youth to join My Bharat Portal. Now, by joining this My Bharat Portal, these youth volunteers would get attached to nation building activities. Most of these My Bharat volunteers would be mobilized so that they can understand government schemes and then help disseminate the information related to those government schemes. And sometimes government may call them to implement these schemes as well. Okay, so basically it is a youth volunteer portal where youth can volunteer for various development activities that the government has undertaken so that India reaches this goal of Vikasit Bharat 2047. Now about this portal, let's talk about this portal. So it was launched on 31st October 2023. Okay, on the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. It is a tech-driven institutional platform for youth development and youth-led transformation. Now, it is also known as Mera Yuva Bharat or My Bharat. The organization that manages this portal is known as My Bharat or Mera Yuva Bharat. My stands for Mera Yuva Bharat. Okay. So this organization basically operates this portal and it is an autonomous organization under Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. Now, what are the objectives of this My Youth portal? So inclusive youth participation in national development so that youth volunteers can be gathered for national development activities, provide equal opportunities for learning, skill development, volunteering, mentorship, and basically the main aim is mobilize youth for national development. Okay, this is the main aim. The goal of Vikasit Bharat by 2047. Okay. Now, what are some of the features of this portal? So, number one is volunteer mobilization. Then young individuals, they'll have digital profiles on this portal. So, they can list their skill sets, interests, activities, and based on that, well, they'll be allocated certain activities. Okay. Then they can get attached with government programs and learn some skills. Okay, they will also get experience certificates which would really help them basically get a job. Okay, Then they would be mentored, networking would be there, they would be able to meet other talented, skillful young people, so there would be networking. And government schemes would or information related to government schemes would get disseminated to the grassroots using these young people as ambassadors. Okay, so these are the features of this portal. Clear? Now let's quickly shift our focus to second topic, and that is geotubing to prevent coastal erosion. As you can see, these are geotubes, inflatable tubes. So a study conducted by scientists from National Institute of Ocean Technology, Chennai, has found that geotube technology along the Ponthura coastal stretch, which is in Kerala, has yielded remarkable transformation in the coastal landscape. Okay. The problem is that this Ponthura coastal stretch, or many coastal stretches of India, face this problem of waves, damaging waves. Now, these damaging waves basically lead to a lot of coastal erosion, erosion of coastal sand. And that really creates problems, okay, because these waves are too powerful. Now, if you'll align these geotubes along the coastline, what these big geotubes do is that they absorb the lot of the large chunk of, or basically they absorb a lot of wave energy, reducing the impact caused by these waves, okay, and causing less coastal erosion. That is the purpose of geotubes. And National Institute of Ocean Technology has found that in this Ponthura coastal stretch, these geotubes or geotubing really helped in preventing coastal erosion. In fact, it increased sand deposition, which increased the size of beaches over there, right? So this is a good tool to handle this problem of damaging wave energy and coastal erosion. Okay, now about geotubing. So it is a technology that uses large tubular geotextiles. So these geotubes are made up of geotextiles filled with sand or slurry and placed underwater to reduce wave energy and prevent erosion. Okay. Now, as you can see over here, they are aligned perpendicular to the coast, forming submerged backwaters. In this image, you can see they're basically at some height. You can see them, but they are also deeply submerged. Okay. So these submerged breakwaters, that trap and deposit sand. So sand gets deposited over here. Wave energy also gets dissipated and coastal erosion stops. Now, the material from which these geotextiles are made is, well, woven geotextiles like polypropylene, basically plastic, and polyester. Clear? Now, what are the advantages? Some of the advantages I've just mentioned. It will absorb excess wave energy, okay, preventing coastal erosion, and would allow beach formation due to sand deposition. So, coastal protection is basically, it will act as a breakwater. Breakwater are those constructed regions that absorb wave energy. Okay, so coastal protection, river and lake management. So river banks can also be protected with these geotubes. Okay, wastewater treatment, dewatering sludge in industrial and municipal setups, infrastructure projects. Okay, they can be used to basically create a foundation for roads. You can first use geotubes and then construct roads, bridges on it. Environmental remediation, pollution control. So there are many benefits, many applications of geotubing. Clear? Okay. Now let's quickly shift our focus to topic number 3, and that is State of the World's Nursing Report. Okay, 2025, which is released by World Health Organization. So, a new report by WHO reveals that while the global stock of nurses is projected to rise to 36 million by 2030, the growth will be unevenly distributed. Basically, this report says that Africa and Mediterranean region is going to face severe shortage of nurses. Okay, this uneven distribution exasperating existing inequities. Already health related outcomes in Africa are very poor. Africa in fact requires a lot of nursing staff, but Africa is the continent that is going to face severe nursing shortages, deepening the global nursing crisis. Now, the name of this report was State of World Nursing Report 2025. Just remember that this report is released every year by WHO. Now, as far as India is concerned, because we should be concerned with India, we are preparing for civil services examination. Most questions would be from India. Okay. So, as far as India is concerned, state of nursing in India, situation in India. So, in India, nurse to population ratio is 30 nurses per 10,000 people. Now, this is a little less than ideal. WHO says that if the medical staff, which includes doctors and nurses, is 44 per 10,000, then that is considered ideal by WHO. Okay. In India, it is 30 nurses per 10,000. So it is still not up to the mark, not to the ideal level. Okay. So this is where we need to work. Then, as far as nursing education system is concerned, India has a lot of nursing graduate India has increased nursing graduate numbers. It has increased nursing colleges, training facilities. But India has just focused on increasing the quantity of these nursing facilities. The quality is still a problem. Okay, so India needs to focus on quality, faculty shortages, and all that. Then nursing exports. There is a lot of nursing export from India. What that means is most trained nurses from India want to work abroad. They go out of India, causing shortage in India. Okay, India remains a top source of foreign trade nurses, especially to UK, Gulf, and Australia, which leads to shortage of nurses in India. And the reason for them not working in India, but in fact choosing UK, Australia, or Gulf is because of obviously some perks and privileges, salaries, working conditions, which they think are not great in India. Okay, that's why they choose to go out of their home. Right? That is why India needs to work on this also. Clear? Now, what are the issues with respect to India's nursing sector? First of all, like I said, inadequate workforce. WHO says it should be 44.5 health workers per 10,000 people. Then, India currently has 30 nurses per 10,000. And even in this 30 nurses, there is a lot of urban-rural disparity. Most of these 30 nurses per 10,000 people are found in urban private hospitals. And there is a shortage of nursing staff in rural primary health centers, okay, community health center. So this is a problem. Then poor working conditions, and that is why they choose to, well, migrate abroad. Then low presence of chief nursing officers at state national levels limits policy, lack of leadership roles. Some, well, low public investment as far as training institutes are concerned. Like I said, we have increased the quantity, but we have focused less on quality of training and employment expansion. And international migration, which I just mentioned. And this international migration is because of these factors. Okay. All right, then. Now let's move forward to the last topic of the day, which is disinformation in war. So even as India, Pakistan take a step back from the brink of war with the ceasefire agreement, the battlefield has moved far beyond the line of control and into the information domain. It is the information war going on right now. Okay, you would have seen a lot of doctored clips, memes mocking India. In fact, Pakistan has already declared victory. They are using fake videos to show fake memes to show that India suffered from considerable damages when Pakistan attacked, right? So, this disinformation campaign was orchestrated by Pakistan, Pakistan's ISI, and many other agencies. Okay. The purpose of that was to destabilize Indian morale, confuse global audience, because even global media channels or global newspapers or global media houses, they are also confused who won or who had an upper hand in this conflict. Most of them are still confused, okay, because there was a lot of fake news, okay, and build a false narrative of victimhood. Like, for example, India targeted terror camps precisely, but Pakistan is claiming that these were civilian facilities that India targeted, clearly trying to villainize India. Okay, and some of their disinformation campaign has been successful. Global media is still confused what happened. Okay, now what is disinformation? About disinformation, so look, disinformation, there are two terms when we talk about false information. Okay, so false information can be of two types. One is misinformation, and the other is disinformation. Okay, misinformation, disinformation. Now, misinformation is when you share false information by mistake. You too do not know the real answer, so you believe a particular information to be true and you share it. That is misinformation. That is an honest mistake. But disinformation is something that you deliberately spread to basically manipulate the opinion of masses. You know the truth, you know the answer, and you definitely know that this information is false, but you're still spreading it. So during war, Pakistan was spreading not misinformation, disinformation. So deliberate dissemination of false or misleading content intended to manipulate public opinion or discredit opponents. Sorry. Okay. Now, what are the objectives of disinformation campaign in war? First of all, you want the international opinion to be shaped in your favor. What Pakistan wants is that the international community should think of India as the aggressor. And what Pakistan is also trying to do is Pakistan is trying to paint Pahalgam attack as a false flag operation, that the Indian agencies conducted it themselves. It was not terrorists, it was India who did it to fight a war with Pakistan. Plus, they also want to shape the domestic opinion, Pakistan's own opinion. Now, the objective is also to impact the morale of adversary, that in this case, Pakistan's adversary was India. So divisions in society. The reason why they targeted only a particular religion was to create, this Hindu-Muslim conflict and undermine trust in institutions. Now, different tools can be used for this. Meme warfare, deep fake videos, okay, fake newspaper headlines, social media bots, misattributed videos. Like Pakistan has been basically blamed for this, misattributed videos. They used videos of Gaza to show that how they damaged Indian air bases. Okay, so this is the thing. Now, what are the challenges in countering disinformation? Why is it so difficult to counter disinformation? First of all, the factor of virality. Fake news travels faster than truth. Okay, before you can fact check, it has been shared millions of times. So, this is a problem. Then AI and deep fakes have become so close to reality, you don't even realize whether you're watching a real person talk or it is a deep fake. Then also there is a lack of digital literacy among our own population also. It is very difficult for majority of our population to basically counter deep or to basically compare deep fakes from original video. Okay. And the reason why Pakistan is able to do so is because these social media platforms are borderless. You cannot control the information movement from from one country to another. So this is the problem. Clear? Now, if you are to write a mains practice question with respect to this, and the question says that suggest a way forward to counter disinformation, then that way forward would include these problems. For example, what should we do to counter disinformation? Well, you need to create a good fact checking infrastructure. Okay, create tools that dissociate or differentiate between deepfakes and reality. Increase digital literacy campaigns. Okay, change your laws and allow for global cooperation between countries to control this borderless information movement, and so on and so forth. Okay, that would be the way forward. Clear? And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it would add more value. I say this every time at the end of the lecture. If you revise this lecture, because without revision, you would quickly forget these current affairs that we have discussed. Though you might have understood each and everything, but you won't be able to remember it if you do not revise this from the notes provided by us. So do revise it, okay? And on that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.